Yo, what's up, nerds? It's the weekend, which means it's time for a brand new anime streaming showcase. And this week's ass is all about magic and dungeon exploring and friendship and willpower and all that fun Japanese anime shonen nonsense that we've come to know and love and just accept as something that's going to happen no matter what in this genre. So we're going to look at Magi, Labyrinth of Magic, here on this week's ass. Strap in! Destiny is a fickle subject. It's something that we as humans, philosophers, clerics, whomever, have pondered for centuries, never definitively understanding or confirming. Are we tied to our fate that is supposedly predetermined? Do we question our fate? Are we able to alter our fate? Should we even try to alter it? What if us trying to question and alter our fate is ultimately our fate? It's not a subject that has an answer. It's completely subjective from person to person to person. However, in Shinobu Otaka's manga Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, she aims to answer the long-running question of destiny and whisk readers away to a world of magic, politics, fantasy, and war. A1 Pictures and director Koji Masunari have adapted Otaka's work into a 50-episode production that has been a critical success. And now that the manga has entered its final arc, I've decided to hop aboard a magic carpet and explore Magi to examine the treasures found within. Magi is an alternative representation of the old world, that being Africa, Europe, and Asia, with obvious locales and archetypes standing out like Egyptian, Chinese, and Mongolian. It's a sprawling world that the characters will explore at various times throughout the series, rife with dangers like thieves, corrupt monarchies, and magical castles called dungeons containing treasures and more. Magi is almost always focused on one of the two main characters, Aladdin and Alibaba, or them together. Aladdin is a powerful but naive enigma who is happy exploring, eating various foods, and making new friends. He usually abhors fighting, however, he's more than capable of holding his own and can defend himself and his friends if need be. Conversely, Aladdin's the antithesis of Alibaba, who will use force and strong-arm tactics to ensure victory. He's not a bad person, it's just a remnant of his childhood and his pedigree. Upon joining forces, the two are almost inseparable, and despite never seeing eye to eye 100% of the time, it would seem their fates are indefinitely intertwined. The remainder of the cast steadily grows over the series, from enemies, friends, and everything in between. Many different cultures and understandings are presented through Magi's cast. Topics range from slavery to corruption to death and reincarnation. Magi is hardly a pleasant series most times, and each arc is rampant with messages and lessons to take away from them. It's not as heavy-handed as you might think, though, which is always wonderful, since a lot of shows dealing with taboo or objectionable content often like to hammer in the importance of why this particular subject is bad, and why their views on abolishing are right and just. Magi can get a little verbal and often end the battle with words rather than violence, so it's refreshing, and it's an invigorating spin for the demographic, and one could argue that Magi's presentation can span multiple demographics, thanks to its storytelling. The story spends a bulk of the first half of the first series dedicated to establishing its characters. The world is slowly explored more and more as the plot progresses. But with Magi, Labyrinth of Magic, Otaka seems to implore that her character is the focus, not the world. We get teases of the series' true antagonists trickled to us as often as quick moments or prologues to most arcs. If there is one flaw I'd give a series like Magi that has a massive cast and often name drops many of them, is that once the story has established itself and we're more halfway through it, it's simply a lot to keep track of sometimes. Perhaps it's a fault of my own, because I would rather read and watch Magi in addition to several other series back to back to back to back. But Magi is such a dense series with a number of self-referential elements that require a bit of understanding than most series in this demographic. Magi's real strength in its first series comes from its ability to shake cliches and tropes almost entirely. It's still a shonen series to its core, but rather than continuously overcoming hardships through willpower and other tired nonsense, there is often thought involved in the battles and skirmishes. Aladdin and Alibaba are level-headed and rarely rush into a fight without considering most outcomes. and then deciding the more logical, occasionally the non-violent outcome. It's a particular charming trait of Magi that I've come to respect and enjoy. But there do come times when they simply must get their hands dirty, and simply talking it out will never suffice. Magi's art is often so ornate that it's awe-inspiring. I'll often linger on pages, taking it all in, and the anime does its best to match the manga. Obviously, the anime's budget prevents it from being 100% accurate to the source material, but A1 Pictures have handled it well. Magi's first series spans approximately the first 110 chapters of the manga, while its sequel series, Magi, The Kingdom of Magic, adapts just fewer, about 90 chapters, but it's still thick with the same Magi goodness. The manga is currently in the middle of its final arc, and I can only imagine more anime content is on the horizon, but as of this time, there is no indication of anything other than presumption. You can find Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic, and Magi, The Kingdom of Magic at the usual streaming sites, Hulu, Crunchyroll, and Netflix. If you'd like more cerebral, often exploratory adventure, Magi is the series for you. Whether anime or manga, both mediums are terrific avenues to explore all that Magi has to offer. Boom! Brand new episode of A.S. in the can. That's how we do it. Really, Magi, Labyrinth of Magic, Kingdom of Magic, the whole series, it's fantastic. It's a series I picked out a couple years ago and just sort of binged over a couple of weeks trying to get all caught up. And as dense as it is, and as many characters and names that it likes to throw at you, it's still a beautiful series. The manga is absolutely breathtaking most times, and the characters and the world is so beautiful and so well explored and so well explained that I don't mind getting bogged down from time to time. And thankfully, Wikis and things like that exist, so if I miss something, I can always just fill in my stupid brain with the facts that I missed and help fill in all the gaps. But yes, absolutely, Magi, go watch it, go read it, whatever you prefer. It's a great series, whichever medium you choose. As always, thanks Laser Time for allowing me to do this, letting me put my ass on your website. It's so great. And we will see you next time for a brand new episode of Anime Streaming Showcase. Later, nerds.